Welcome to the Main Basketball Rankings Podcast. I am your host, basketball data nerd Lucas McNelly. Week 6 is here. Jeez, already? Is it week 6 already? Wow, let's check that. Yeah, it's week 6 coming up. So Tyler Krusz is here from the TV, and we're going to overreact to week 5, and we're going to take a quick look at week 6, and we're probably going to talk about basketball. We haven't recorded that yet, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to end up talking about basketball. I am prepared. If you're watching the video, I am wearing a basketball jersey, which I don't do very often, but that's how sure I am that we're going to talk about basketball. Okay, so first off, what we've been doing the last couple weeks is revealing the new top 10 in the power rankings in the podcast, and then it'll be online later with the whole thing, and you can see where your team is ranked and complain and yell at me and all that stuff. So without further ado, here we go. Number 10 is Cony, coming off a 40-0 drubbing of Scarborough. They, of course, are in a bit of a dogfight at the top of B North, and they will host Madomic Valley this week in a cross-class game, which is two teams that don't even really play in basketball all that often. They did a couple years ago. They did some when Madomic was in A North, and they just don't play in basketball as much as you would think they do. Kind of weird. TJ, if you're listening to this, more games. That's all I'm asking. Number 9 is Lawrence. They beat Massasoit on the road 48-28. Pretty nice win for them. And they will host Mount Blue this week, which should be a slightly easier matchup. Mount Blue is 1-4, and they have not won since the opening weekend when they beat Brewer 33-6. Number 8, falling all the way down from number 1, is Deering, as they just got shellacked 41-0 by Kennebunk. Really the eye-raising score, I think, of the weekend for me. It's one of those things we talk about on here a lot, is if you had said to me, Kennebunk can beat Deering, sure, fine, okay, great. If you told me Kennebunk's going to beat Deering 41-0, I would be like, okay, was someone hurt? Michael Hoffer does his usual bang-up job on a story on that, so go over to Varsity Maine and check that out. Deering will play Westbrook this week. Number 7 is Foxcroft Academy. Another game we were looking at, talking last week, was Foxcroft's meeting with Herman at Herman. Herman is was one of the teams at the top of the logjam in C North, and they took care of them 17-0 against Herman. Another quality win for Foxcroft against the C North team. They've got one more this week as they will host Nokomis. Nokomis is ranked 36th. So Foxcroft, you would think, would be able to handle them, but hey, this is why we play the games. Number 6 is Bonnie Eagle. Bonnie Eagle, let me pull up the record. Probably going to be a little bit of a surprise to see them for some people. They are 3-2. They are, if you were to calculate, I don't have Crabtrees in front of me, but if you were to calculate heel points, they would actually be first in A South. Huh, that's interesting. Anyway, they have a scoring differential of -4, but they have played the second hardest schedule in all the land. They beat South Portland this week 24-19, and they will host Scarborough. They will travel to Scarborough this week. Scarborough is ranked 74th. They're 1-4, and they haven't scored in 3 games. So it seems likely the Bonnie Eagles going to get their number up in the positives on the year. Number 5 is Freiburg. Freiburg, I think we have to say Freiburg's the team to beat in C South. They beat Levitt 34-12 at Levitt. Freiburg's off to a great start. They are, I believe, where's C South? Yes, they are 4-1, with the one loss being that 1-point loss to Falmouth. They will travel to Brunswick this week. Number 4, it's Falmouth. Falmouth 55-9 at Mount Blue. If you haven't listened to it yet, there's a great interview between me and Spencer Emerson, Falmouth's new head coach. It's probably 3 episodes back at this point. Fantastic interview. Couldn't have been a nicer guy, and when I pivoted to, okay, I have to ask you basketball questions, he was all for it. So that's a quality person if they're willing to talk about a sport that's not their sport and they get excited doing it. Falmouth this week will travel to Gardner, where they are favored by a touchdown. Number 3 is here it comes. Stearns. Yeah, Stearns. Okay. This is a high water point for Stearns. I will almost promise you, I've been watching these rankings play out for a very long time, and this is what's going to happen. Stearns has been through the hardest part of their schedule. They are plus 174 against that part of the schedule, which is very impressive. They have the easiest schedule left in the state. So they're going to fall because there's not going to be enough points for them to keep pace with the teams coming up behind them. So they'll get caught. They very impressive win, 66-16 over Holton. Really like another one of those. I didn't think it would be. I thought maybe Stearns would win. I didn't think they would win by that much. And I'll just say that, are they too high? Probably. But I would rather a small school be too high than have it discount them completely and then no one ever talks about them. So if if we can get people to complain that they're too high, that's at least they're talking about Stearns. They're looking at Stearns. Maybe they're thinking, do I want to drive to Millinocket? I mean, probably not, but they're thinking about it. Maybe they'll think about it. Maybe if there was the Holton game was this coming week, they would think about driving to Millinocket. Number 2 is Kennebunk, 41-0 over Deering. Wow. Just wow. So I don't think we'll get a ton of argument there. They are going to host number 31 Chevers this week, which I believe is the best. I think that might be the game of the week. No, it's third. It's third in the game of the week. And number 1, we all knew this was happening. So it was inevitable. Thornton Academy, 33-26 over Noble, and a game where Noble gave them everything they could handle. They finally ascend to the top spot, and they will host South Portland, and that is actually the game of the week. So if you're near, where's TA? They're in Saco. Yeah, if you're in Saco, head on over. They'll be hosting South Portland. That should be fun. They are going to be favored by some number. I don't have it in front of me. So there's your top 10. Thornton Academy, Kennebunk, Stearns, Falmouth, Freiburg, Bonnie Eagle, Foxcroft, Deering, Lawrence, and Cony. All right. And if you want to stay tuned, Tyler Krusz is here. We're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some basketball. It'll be a great time. Okay. Tyler Krusz is here from the TV. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. You're like all at work. You're all like professional looking, and you got a sound booth and everything.
Yeah, we're in the it's our audio booth. It's kind of like the size of the room that Harry Potter grew up in, with styrofoam all around me. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I got a new light. We were talking about beforehand. I got a new light, but I don't have a tripod for it, so it's just a nightmare of how this looks.
You got to grab one of your kids and just be like, just hold this flashlight on my face. You're not holding it straight.
Yeah, hold it right. It's like my father with the car when he's trying to fix it. Like, no, hold the light straight. No, not there. You're just shining on the back of my head.
You want to hit the eyes, not right in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I figured I'd have you on here to overreact to week 5. And if you're watching the video, last time you were on, we talked about our mutual love of the Hurley brothers. And so I'm wearing my Bobby Hurley Kings jersey from the 90s, which was very baggy when I bought it in the 90s because it was the 90s. And now it's less baggy. I don't have a Duke one.
So there's a story when they were putting out the Duke Hurley ones for sale for official, they were going to do it with the Seton Hall one, and he was going to cut Danny a check, and Danny was like, "No, I don't want to see my jerseys half off somewhere in the mall."
Yeah, that would be rough. But were you the one who sent, or was it Adam, the one where Danny Hurley's Apple Watch tried to call 911?
Yeah, after he flopped down after watching someone fail to close out. And then he told his team they were wasting taxpayer money. I love that. That's the best thing you could say as a coach in the NIL era is you're wasting taxpayer money. It's awesome. That's
fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. So let's overreact to week 5. Did you get to a game this week?
I did. We were at a couple. And then, I had my branches out at some more. So we ended up getting, I think 6 or 7 games. It was good. Good week. Cool. Exciting week. I caught the Herman Foxcroft game, which was great. I got there at a scoreless halftime, and that was a nice grinded out football game. That was fun.
Let's talk about that one because that's one of the ones on my list.
Cool. Start there.
So that was one of the games that I had sort of circled as, because Herman is fighting for the top of C North and Foxcroft is doing Foxcroft things. And I had just seen them at Oceanside where they rolled off 30 straight. And like, it looks like they're a bit of a wagon, but didn't they graduate like 12 seniors or something?
They do this every year.
Yeah.
Where they have a great senior class, they leave, and then the juniors are just, it's just same stuff, just different names. I mean, they are just a wagon every year. I got here in the fall of 2021, and I remember them winning the state championship at Cameron Stadium when Class D was statewide. They did it again in 2022, and they were, lost last minute fourth quarter last year. So they've been I watched them play in 3 straight state championship games.
Yeah, I was really impressed with them at Oceanside because Oceanside went up 14-0 and they have a pretty explosive offense. And it was, everyone was sort of looking around going, oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be closer. And they just turned
didn't
it on.
It start? Yeah, it started in Foxcroft just second half and started the second quarter. Just absolutely turned on the Jets. And once they get rolling like that, they're hard to stop, which is why I was pretty impressed with Herman as well. Where they were they didn't, with 2 minutes left, it was a 10-0 game. So, that Herman defense is legit, and that's going to keep them in games too. But Foxcroft is just, they have so much talent on both sides of the football. All 3 phases of the game, really, they're dangerous.
I saw Herman. I saw Herman at Madomic, and there was just a defensive back and forth slugfest.
Herman's really good. I just can't remember what game I got to last week before Foxcroft. That's bothering me now.
You were doing the Joe Bailey thing where you were at like 6 different games?
I usually try to stay local, so I'm pretty sure it was Old Town Belfast this week. I think that might have been the game I started with. That sounds
week
right.
One,
yeah, it was
I think
Old
he
Town
started
Belfast,
in Camden. Like week 1, I think Joe Bailey started in Camden and just worked his way down the coast.
He's a horse. He is all over the place. It's he's a grinder. I am very impressed every day. I turn on Twitter and see like Joe Bailey at 8 different places at once. And
I'll see him at games, and I'm like, oh hey, Joe Bailey's there. I'll go see. Maybe I'll go talk. Oh no, he's gone.
He's probably, a lot of it's luck because sometimes you can go to a game and get absolutely nothing. Say you get there before half. There's like tonight, I got there 13 minutes before the half at Brewer Oxford Hills and got, just not enough for a highlight by the time half kicked. So then you got to wait the extra 10 minutes for the half and then bank on getting it. So a lot of it, when you're able to bounce around like that, he just has impeccable timing probably too. But a lot of it's luck.
Yeah, well, it's probably easier with basketball because you get a couple layups. Someone hits a 3. You're like, okay, well, we got something here. But soccer, like, well, they're still running around.
Yeah. Sometimes they're playing tennis on the soccer field.
Yeah.
Where like there's no chances, ball's just going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. That's something, and you're watching it going, all right, okay.
I'm getting cold. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm getting cold. All right. What else did I want to? Okay, so the Kennebunk Deering game was the one that surprised me the most this week because I expected it to be close. I thought, I know that's Southern Maine, but 41-0. Like, have you heard anything about Deering, about Kennebunk? I read Michael Hoffer's article, which is great.
I know they can run the ball. I know they can run the ball really well, and they have a few weapons in the running game, but they're so far away from Bangor, we're not getting much of them.
Right. That's a hike. All right, let's try to find. I'm looking at my list, and I'm going to try to find a game closer to you. You did say that you have seen TA.
I have seen TA. They played at Bangor. I think it was week 2 or 3 early in the season, and it was Bangor looked all right. They got the ball into TA territory 2 drives in a row, but then, the TA defense was a bend, don't break. They forced the punt or the turnover, and TA scored on their first, I think, like 6 drives of that game. So, their offense, they can spread it out. They have so many different weapons. Their quarterback is really good in the pocket. He can throw the ball. He's accurate. And then they have the power run game, and they also have a lot of speed on the sides. They can get to the sideline and just outrun people.
Very, very cool. Have you seen Camden yet?
I have not, but I heard that game was unbelievable.
I'm going
to see Mount Ararat this week. Jack will be
at Camden earlier in the day for a field hockey game, and I guess I should have stuck around because so if you haven't heard, they were down 20. Camden's down 24-0 at the half, I think, and then rallied to win 36-30 against a pretty good Mount Ararat team.
A very
as
good
I
Mount
understand
Ararat
it.
team. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
so
they're both at the top of the B North, or not B, the 8-man large standings. There's
whatever
no,
that is.
I think it's statewide now, right? Yeah.
I think 8
We've
large
been
is
running it as statewide, or at
yeah.
least the
So
playoffs will be.
Camden is 5-0, and Mount Ararat is 4-1.
Yeah. So I think they both came into the game 4-0, and then Mount Ararat came out kind of like that Oceanside game you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Camden they were able to storm back. They 8-man football has been so much fun. And I think it's doing really good for the schools that can't get a lot of players, out there. And it's, once you get fast players, it is just such a fun game to watch from our perspective.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see a 8-man game yet. That should have been my opportunity. I should have stuck around in Camden. Why didn't I stick around? Oh yeah, I had to run a race. That's why. Okay.
There you go.
I had a trail race I had to run. I'm going to pitch this. This is like the least organized episode of this podcast yet. It's maybe because I'm drinking an energy drink. So I ran this race, and this is a new format, and I don't know how much you guys cover racing. It's like some, right? Like
yeah.
5Ks and that half marathon or marathon that was in Bangor. So are you familiar with the last man standing format?
I am not.
Okay, so last man standing is insane. It's an ultra marathon for people who are crazy. And so every hour they start a 4-mile loop, and you have the hour to run that 4-mile loop. And when they start the next loop, if you're at the starting line, you're still in the race. And
so it's kind of like the pacer test for crazy people.
It is like the pacer test for crazy people. And so they'll go 40 hours doing this race.
So they'll just keep going.
They just keep going till everyone drops.
Nobody sleeps.
You can maybe
that is insane.
It's insane. So you maybe can get like 5 minutes of sleep if you finish your lap a little early, something like that. So they made this version of it in Ulna, which is around here, for less crazy people. And it was 1 mile, much more manageable. And they give you 20 minutes. But the gimmick was every mile, they took a minute off the time you had. Okay. So you had 19, and then you had 18, and then you had 17. So it was very chill.
More like the pacer test. That's like more of that format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so eventually the laws of physics are going to time you out of this thing. So it's very chill, and they had I think 30-something people first year they're doing this event. This is an event a format they came up with. Very chill. You're walking early pace laps.
Yeah, you can walk a mile in 20 minutes.
You can walk. Yeah. There's like a big hill in the first third of it, so you walk up the hill and then jog the rest of it. But then it got pretty interesting when you get down to like the 10-minute mile, the 11-minute mile, something like that.
Who's got the gas left?
So I got to I felt good, and then I got to the under 10 lap, and my legs were gone. and I was like, okay, I think I got enough to, reach down and kick this. And no, there was just nothing there. Just really snuck up on me. But it was a lot of fun. And then they finished with the sub 6 lap, was the last lap anyone attempted. And one guy missed it by 5 seconds, I think.
Oh man, to get that far.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was, the trick, I was saying to myself, okay, I'm going to start any lap I'm allowed to start. And so when I got timed out by I think 20 seconds on the final lap, I was kind of happy. I'm like,
because if you just barely beat it, you were like, oh, I got to go again.
I got to go again. And I was struggling when I finished that lap. I was on the ground. Someone bring me water, please. Couldn't walk for a day afterwards.
See, I'm not a runner.
I
just never. I get the runner's high. My mom runs all the time. I don't know. I can't do it. I do. I'll do the stair stepper once a week, but that's. And then in college, I played. We played basketball twice a week. But then I think I said this in the last podcast. They chained up the nets during COVID, and then we just never got back to it.
That sucks. But yeah. So anyway, I'm sure they'll do it next year. It's at some cider place in some cider place. The cider, and there was Asian fusion food.
So it was alcoholic cider or just regular apple cider?
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah. So you could just come down and watch and get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or you could do it, get drunk while doing it. That would be fun too.
you could get drunk while doing it. But yeah, so if anyone is interested in that sort of thing, just plug it because it seemed like they were very cool guys and it was a very chill event and very enjoyable. Anyway, so enough of that diversion. So let's talk B North. I've had a very long day, so I'm gonna drink this sports drink they gave me at the thing, which I hadn't drank yet.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, B North. We got Cony and Lawrence. They're in the
Yep.
top 10. The rankings that are going to get released probably tomorrow. Cony is 10th. Lawrence is 9th.
I've seen both of them.
How close are they?
They are very good. Lawrence is they're a power run team. They've always been ever since I've been here. They've really had the same style, and they've been really good in that style. And then Cony, they can really air it out. I'm blanking on their quarterback's name right now because we've only seen them about once or twice. But they are a very good, multifaceted offense. And that is have they played yet?
They did play earlier this year, and Cony beat them.
Cony won that game, right? Yeah. Was it close?
It was, I think, pretty close. Sometimes
Okay.
it's hard to tell just looking at the score. 42-21 back in week 2.
Yeah, that I think one of us went to that game. They are both very good football teams, but I think Falmouth is just, they're almost like a miracle story here in B North, unbeaten right now. They've been just finding ways to win.
A very cool story. They won again they handled Mount Blue pretty handily, 55-9. But that, by all accounts, the game against Freiburg was awesome.
Yeah.
Like just an instant classic.
Yeah, I wasn't at that one, but they've it comes down to winning the close games, I think. Like anyone can win those 55-9 games, and you see them pop up every now and then. I've seen a lot of close games this year, which has been nice, but those still pop up. But when, the chips are down and it comes to winning time, that's really when you see who's going to be set to succeed in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little surprising to me that it's a first time, well, not a first time coach because he's been at other places, but, a new coach in a program that had such a bad starting spot to be able to come through in those close games that's not the thing you expect to be there right away.
No, not at all. And it's Coach Emerson, right? He's done a really good job over there, and they are, you are what your record says, and that's showing it.
Yeah, and that's not like that was a bad team. That's Freiburg. Freiburg they look to be the class of, what are they in? C
South?
They're in C South. Yeah, they're in C South. I think they're got to be the favorite now.
Out in C South. Yeah, I don't know much about that region, but if they hung with Falmouth, then yeah, they definitely have the horses to run with C South.
They hung with Falmouth. They beat Levitt this week on the road, 34-12, which, it's anyone's guess how good Levitt actually is at this point.
Yeah.
Because they beat Cony, lost to Freiburg. They're 2-3, which I don't remember the last time they were 2-3, and lost to Winthrop.
Yeah. Anytime you graduate that big of a senior class and that important of a senior class, they're going to be growing pains. But like you mentioned, the wins are there, and the wins are there against the good teams. So they have really good coaching over there in that program. Oh, yeah. And that's going to be, a key factor as they get into this, final 4 weeks of the season, 4 or 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah. So they're going to finish with Cape, Scarborough, and York. So the schedule definitely gets easier for them.
Nice. Yeah. So that should be an interesting, see if they win, 2 of those 3 games, right? They finish 4 and 4.
They might finish 4-4. Yeah. They might run the table and go 5-3.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. If you had to guess who's coming out, so Lawrence and Cony are right there. Mesolonsky's right there at 2-3.
Mesolonsky played Cony tight week 1 too. I think that was 33-27 was that final.
33-27. That is correct. Good memory by you.
And
they're gonna finish with Falmouth. They've got Skowhegan and Mount Blue on the road. So that
should be a big test to see if they're close in that one. That's going to give them a lot of juice going into the playoffs. That look, we're 1-2 plays away from taking down the top seed.
Right.
So I think the goal is in that game is because if you're Mesolonsky, you're probably gonna head to that game with 2 straight wins. Just if maybe 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, Skowhegan and Mount Blue are good teams, but Messalonski's, on paper, the better team this year. And they will, if they can push Falmouth, that's going to give them some juice that they can hang with, Cony, who they were right there with, that they can take down Lawrence. So I think they play this week against Lawrence. That should be an interesting one too.
Massalonski, they lost to Lawrence 48-28 this
Okay.
week. So yeah, is it 4? It's been a long day. 4 teams get in, or do 6 get in to the tourney?
I thought it was all 6, and then the first 2 get a bye.
The first 2 get a bye because there's 7 teams there.
I could be wrong. I can look it up real quick.
Okay, this is just
quality.
The
old bulletin. Well, I think right now, obviously, Falmouth is the team to beat.
Yeah.
In that region, but yeah, you have those 3 teams: Messalonski, Cony, and Lawrence. If they can get some momentum, it's all about how you're playing when it comes into November, when it comes into October.
And it's also very confusing that Falmouth is in B North.
It is very confusing, and they're like, I just, from driving down Rhode Island, they're like, what, 8 exits up from Portland?
Yeah, something like that. I guess, though, if you look at B South, there's not anyone where you would say, no, these guys should be the team in the North. It's Deering, Kennebuck, Massabesic, Biddeford, Gorham, Chevrolet, Marshwood, Westbrook. So
I can't find this. I'm going to guess it's all 6 teams.
All right.
I think it would be weird to start in the semifinals. I'm pretty sure they have a quarterfinal round.
Okay.
I don't want to read through the whole bulletin while on the podcast.
Plus, the bulletin might not be right.
Yeah, usually it is. I print out the bulletin every year so I know which teams are in which class and stuff like that. So they update at least that part of it.
I have it up on my computer usually for most of the year, and then there's always one team that's in the wrong place in the bulletin. And I'll find it because someone will email me and say, "Hey, we're in B South, dipshit." And I'm like,
heel points, yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know. There's only 260 basketball teams in the state.
That's a lot. I didn't know that.
It is. It's 260. It's 130 on each side. I have, of course, biased against every single one of them. So that it's very important to know. And then my favorite part is when someone will just email me, "Hey, we won today." And
Who are you?
That's great. Who are you? What was the score?
Yeah, that doesn't help anything.
Who did you play?
Did you cover? Yeah.
Yeah. But they, because they think I'm going to remember that, or then I have to go look it up, and I go scrolling through their Twitter feed going, "Oh, I think, all right. I think I know who this is."
It's all coming back to me now.
It's coming back to me now. Okay. All right. All right. So let's look a couple of games. What do you make of? Have you got a chance to see Dexter? They had a big win against Washington Academy.
I think we caught them one of their first couple games. I think it was Ellsworth. But I have not myself. They're not too far off from a state championship, a regional championship, but I did not catch that game against Washington Academy.
So they won that 46-22.
Oh wow! So that just shows that the offense is kind of clicking now, because I think they were struggling a little bit offensively to start.
Yeah, and they were a big underdog according to the model on that one, so it jumps out at me when that happens. Let me run a couple other games that I wrote down. Is Madison Madnocook?
We were at that game. That was 6-6 at the half, and then Madison just was able to, kind of keep Madnocook at bay in the second half. Madnocook first year back in 11-man. Madison has been, kicking around in the middle of Class D for a bit, so it was good to see the Bulldogs, figure it out in the second half there. And I think Madnocook, defense travels, and you can only, if your offense isn't clicking, your defense is going to get a little bit tired, but it's good to see that they are executing defensively the way they want to be, because that's how you build a program from the ground up.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Here's my big question. Stearns. How good is Stearns?
I want to say they're good. Yeah, they're very good. They have the senior class this year that Orono kind of had last year, where their quarterback's been kicking around for a bit. Orono's quarterback is now a senior, but his weapons were, Pierce Walston, Ben Francis, two seniors that we're familiar with basketball. They had a lot of seniors out there on the line. Stearns is very senior heavy, and they've come really close the last 2 years, but have nothing to show for it because Orono was so good these last 2 years in 8-man small north. They really figured it out the middle of 2022 and just ran the table from then until the end of last year. And Stearns, lost a couple of big games by, 20-something points to Orono. And now I think they're really hungry because they feel it's their turn, and they're showing it. They, Holton, by all means, looked really good. We saw them week 1 against Bucksport, and Orono is Orono. Francis can throw the ball as good as anybody in 11-man that I've seen too. Not Francis, Brewer. Francis,
yeah,
heck of a wide receiver. Yeah. And they have the weapons there, but Stearns, I think, just is a very complete team this year, both sides of the ball, and they've been knocking at the door, and I think they're ready to take it down.
I was surprised that they beat Holton by as much as they did. It was
after watching them beat Orono, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because I think we have Orono Holton this week, and that's going to be an interesting game, but I would say Orono wins that one.
Okay. So the model has Stearns third, which is
the power rankings
overall, which is high. I like to say that I would rather it overrate the small school because then, you're shining a light on them rather than like a max prep situation or whatever, where there's gonna be like, oh, they can't do it. It's impossible. They're not a AA school. No AA school would ever lose to a smaller school. It's impossible. Yeah. I'd rather just, I don't mind Stearns being up there.
Well, you can't choose who you play.
You can't choose who you play. That's true.
And in that 8-man small north region, Bucksport had a great senior class last year. Dexter's been really good for a few years. Orono, like we said, graduated a lot of seniors, and Stearns was very junior heavy last year. So this year, I just think they are, all 8 men on the field are more experienced than the next guy's 8.
And their schedule is going to get easier.
Yeah, just in terms of playing in big games, maybe not in years under their belts, but in big games under their belts, these guys have been there.
They have the easiest schedule left in the state. So they're gonna fall in the rankings just because there won't be the points to sustain it. So I think it's a good spot mid-season. Get Stearns up there in the top 5, then they can fall, and everybody can feel better about how their big school is passing them.
Yeah, they were right there with Greeley too, up in Millinocket. I think Greeley won last second. Stearns was at the goal line and they got stuffed, or maybe the other way around. Greeley scored, but that came down to the last second, 42-40.
Was that was this season?
That was this year. Greeley played at Stearns. And the one thing when I told my guy to go there, I was like, yeah, you're going to see Greeley Stearns. He was like, Greeley's taking a bus ride to Millinocket? And I was like, yeah, I don't know.
That doesn't sound fun.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I know there's a half marathon there and a marathon in December.
Oh, yeah, the Millinocket Marathon is always fun. I think it's the first Saturday in December. People pass out fireball shots. People are dressed up. One year I went, it was like a couple days after like a storm, and there was like ice, and they were like, yeah, just avoid the ice. We couldn't block it all. It was really cool. And people were like, hell yeah. Like it was awesome. It's always, I don't bring a tripod because that metal gets really cold. So I just freehand shoot the whole thing every time I go, but it's fun.
I used to organize a race in December, and the rule was we're going to run the race no matter what, unless the police stop us.
Yep.
And so good luck.
That's kind of the attitude they have, but it brings so many people to downtown Millinocket in a time where, they're a summer town, in a time where there's not many people there visiting those businesses. So I don't think they would ever shut that one down. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great event. It's it would have to be like a nor'easter coming through or something like that.
Yeah, and they'd probably just postpone it.
Right. Be a safety situation. Maybe if there's like, say, a Category 5 hurricane that's testing the limits of what a hurricane can do.
Oh, man, that thing looks scary.
And I'm talking to somebody at work today, and they're like, oh, yeah, my relative, he's thinking of evacuating. He's not evacuating yet. I'm like, man, I would have been gone last week.
It's ballsy. It's just rain.
It's just rain. It'll be fine. It'll be a little windy, and then it'll be normal. All right,
That was sarcasm, by the way. I know it's not just rain. Please evacuate if you're listening to this.
Yeah, you have a responsibility as a news person to tell people to actually evacuate. No, get out of there.
Yeah, it's not just rain.
Somewhere safe.
Although if you're listening to me for the weather, there's a problem.
That is,
we're really short-staffed if I'm out there giving a forecast.
All right, so games for this week. Do you have any games this week that jump out at you as like a must-see in your area?
So we're going to get the MDI Mount Ararat game. That's going to be a very good one. And then I am going to be at the Orono-Holton one, like I mentioned. That's going to be a really good one as well. Portland's coming up to see Bangor. I haven't seen Portland yet, but they're the top of Class A. And as you get to the end of the season, that's going to be a good measuring stick for Bangor. I know they beat Lawrence 2 weeks ago. So just to see where you stack up with the best of the best there.
Portland has the hardest schedule left.
They do. Wow. And they are they're 4-0, 5-0?
Something like that.
I know they're 11th. Unbeaten.
They're 11th in the power rankings. I know that.
I believe they're unbeaten, actually. I don't want to.
They would be an A South, right? No,
they're an A North.
Yeah. Of course they're an A North. Sure. Portland.
South Portland's A South. I guess that's where the cutoff
They are 4-1. They lost to Bonnie Eagle.
4-1. Okay. Yeah. I knew it started with a 4, and I was like, wait, we've been through 5 weeks. So,
yeah. Bonnie Eagle is, by the way, the Scots. Yes. Very good. They're ranked 6th, and they have a negative scoring differential. Because they've played the second hardest schedule in the state.
Oh, wow. Who have they played?
They played Portland, as we just established. They have played, so they're in South. Okay. They're 3-2. They have played at Lewiston. They played Oxford Hills, Portland, Thornton Academy, and South Portland. Yeah,
and Lewiston is pretty good this year. I saw them when they came to Bangor. They have a lot of athletes, and they can do a lot. Offense, they're very versatile.
So one of the games that jumps out at me on Friday is Greater Gloucester at Greeley. And you've seen Greeley?
We have been to a Greeley game, but not me myself.
Okay.
But they were able to beat Stearns. They are the only team to beat Stearns this year.
Which is looking more impressive by the day.
It is, and they beat them. They were down in that game, and they were able to come back late in it and take the win, it was good to see. Stearns hasn't lost since, and they've kind of rolled through everyone since too.
And I'm just thinking in my head, the culture shock of the kids from Greeley being in Millinocket is about as much culture shock as you can have staying inside of Maine. They
should start scheduling home and homes like they do in college basketball. They're like, yeah, we'll come up to you, but you guys are coming down next year.
You got to come down to Cumberland. All right, so we got 4. Okay, so Holton Orono is one of the games of the week. It's 4th in the Stacks Index. There's 4 games above 80. So just want to throw out a hot take. The schedule kind of sucks this week. Last week,
I look at a lot of games and I'm like, okay, that's not going to be that. They're not going to be that close.
Yeah,
I look at a lot of games and I'm like, ooh.
I feel like there were 8 or 9 games that were over 80 in the Stacks Index, and there's 4 this week. Yeah, and none of them look amazing.
What's the lowest? So a low number means it's not going to be close.
Right, a low number means the game probably won't be exciting.
Gotcha. Okay.
So an 8-0 soccer game.
Yeah,
is between 2 bad teams. You're like, it factors in how close the game should be, how high scoring the game should be, because no one wants to sit there and watch 22-20. How good the teams
I'd watch
are.
22-20. I've seen 7-0 for so I'd watch it. I'd watch it 22-20. That's exciting.
Well, for soccer,
especially
yeah,
at the end.
But for basketball, no.
Oh yeah. No crap. I thought you were talking about football.
Oh no.
Okay, I would watch 22-20 in football any day.
Oh yeah, so a 3-0 would be oh come on guys, let's just do something here, and then it looks for how closely matched the teams are and how good the teams are, a bunch of factors like that. Okay. There was a soccer game that had a negative number the other day.
That's not good.
And I don't think I'd seen that before. I wasn't sure that was possible.
The machine's broken.
It might be broken. So the 4 top games, or you wanted to know the worst one of the week? Was that what you were asking?
No, I just wanted, what's the number? I don't need to know the teams. Maybe I'm going to it.
There's a 39.6. There's a
So it's like a letter grade.
it's like an F.
Yeah,
39.6.
that's a really bad F.
There's a 54.1. Yeah, so it's Morse at Mount
That's
View
not awful.
is a 39.6.
I've gotten a worse grade.
there's a 54, but I'm not sure if that game's getting played. Bucksport at Valley. Is Valley back from their
Have
school
not
trip?
heard. Have not heard.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on because didn't Falmouth had to forfeit a game last year and they couldn't go. They weren't done for the rest of the season, right? They just couldn't.
I think they were ineligible for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then, do we want to talk about the Lisbon situation? Because they just announced they're forfeiting again.
No, while it's under investigation, I don't know. That's some. We had a school lose football for 2 years for that back in Rhode Island. So depending on the severity, it could be. So if the police are involved, it's you should probably wait to hear something before. Yeah.
I've seen some stuff that's not been vetted by any authorities. I'll say that, and it sounds bad.
Yeah, I don't think that information will ever be confirmed nor denied, though.
Right, and
that's not going to be written in any press release.
Say it sounds like something that from an '80s movie ripoff of Porky's.
Yeah, it does not sound good at all. No, I've heard the rumors.
It's like in 2024, really, guys? Really?
Yeah, it's a tough situation because it's probably a small handful ruining, the season and possibly more for a lot of people who probably didn't do anything or didn't even know what was happening.
Right, which makes it doubly tragic. Regardless of what happened. And see, what we're not going to do is take that rumor and put it on Instagram without vetting it.
We've learned.
We've learned not to do that, not by doing it ourselves, but by seeing other people doing it and causing a whole problem. So anyway, okay, so the top 4 games this week. South Portland at TA.
That's going to be a good one.
That should be a good one. The model says TA by 10, but that feels about right.
I think it gets closer because I do think TA has the horses to win this one, but I do think it's a little bit closer than multi-score game.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. I think if they're up 10, South Portland will probably find a way to score late and make it close.
Okay. So number 2 is Madomic Valley at Cony. I went to Madomic Oceanside, of course, this week. They lost. What did they lose that game by? 28-14. And I'm going to say Zeb Foster, first of all, because I know he's going to listen to this, was phenomenal. Like, it was unstoppable. That game could have swung easily in the other direction. Madomic,
he's a heck of an athlete. He hit a couple of shots late in that Orno game that kept them in it. Like he's the reason they were in it for as long as they were. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he's so fast on the football field and slippery. And you're like, how did he get through there? Like how is that possible? Is he greased? Like what's happening? So Madomic had a fumble inside the 10, inside of Oceanside's 10. They had an interception at like the 2. The Oceanside's 2, and something else. When
you're playing a team like Oceanside, whose offense is that good, you can't do that. Yeah.
Oceanside converted a 4th and 4 inside, like at Madomic's 30. They just barely converted it, and Madomic came up literally. I posted the video. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. Literally came up an inch short, trying to convert a 4th down on the next possession. So I mean, there's like 4 plays there where you swing 2 of them and it's a different game completely.
Yeah, I'm going to see Oceanside this week, or one of us will see Oceanside this week at Camden.
Oh, cool. That should be a good one.
I like the way Camden, they're one of the only pass first teams I've seen. Them and Orno.
Really?
And Gavin Monyuk can sling it. He's a great quarterback. He can run too. They're very fun to watch offensively. So if they get in a shootout, like if Oceanside starts putting points up, I think if Camden's offense can find a couple of holes in the defense, they have the horses offensively to hang in a shootout.
How good is their run defense?
Their run defense. So they were in a pretty close game with Herman, and Herman's a run first team.
Okay. Yeah.
So their defense is, I don't know. Their defense is all right. It's pretty good, but their offense is. When I come away from the Hamden games, I'm like, man, it's fun watching that kid throw the ball. That's
Very
that's
cool.
my takeaways. We see so many games a night that it's kind of like, to go back on a specific thing. Yeah, I just come away with like, this is my takeaway from that game, and this is my
Yeah, they're
takeaway.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I wasn't gonna go to the Madonna Coney game, and now I'm thinking I might if it's the second in the game of the day things. I just kept thinking, I was like, oh, that's far. I don't know if I want to drive up to Coney, and I'll maybe find something better, like down south or something. But there doesn't seem to be anything that much better.
Yeah.
Third, Chevrolet at Kennebunk. Kennebunk really impressive win this week.
Yeah, they have a good run game, and they did. That's what got them to the state title last year.
And then yours, Holton at Orno.
Yep, I'll be there. I'll probably be getting there around the second half-ish, so that should be fun. That's going to be a good one as well. And I'm excited to see if the Orno offense can rebound. I think they have 2 losses this year, one to Stearns and one at right. Mount A. So excited to see if they can, flip the script on another contender here in 8-man.
Are there injury issues there? I'd heard a rumor that
I did too. I don't want to comment on it just because I don't know.
Right.
But I did hear that Brewer could have been a little banged up for those games. I'm not sure. But he's out there on both sides of the football. So, if you're out there, you're out there.
Right. All right. So let's flip to basketball, because we got to flip to basketball.
Nice.
Who are you hearing is gonna, because we all hear things up there, who are you hearing is gonna be good this year? Like, what are the teams that are sort of jumping out?
So Brewer's got a really good freshman coming in, Ollie Higgins.
Oh yeah,
in Class B North. That's a region that Class A North, sorry.
A North.
That's a region that I think they can compete in there, because you got a lot of seniors that left in the good teams there. Merrick Garland's no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the kid from Mount Blue? Blanking on his name. Evan Sterling. I knew it was Sterling. He's very good. I don't think he's there anymore. So Brewer with Ollie Higgins coming in, second year under Coach Parker. They could be good this year. Stevie Youngs is a senior. He's a tremendous athlete. He's going to be one of their leaders. So don't be surprised if the Witches are competitive again in A. Old Town, if Emmett Beither's back, I believe he's back. That should be a good one, because he was really fun to watch in the regional tournament.
He's the big guy, right?
Year. He's the big guy. I know Grayson Tebow's gone, but that was a really good 2-man punch with those two. But Herman was a very competitive team down the stretch last year, and they're bringing everyone back. They were loaded with juniors and sophomores. So they are going to be a really fun team. I think they could compete. I'd say Herman and Old Town are my 2 horses in B North to look at.
Can I give you a wild card that if we could bet futures on DraftKings,
sure,
teams that I would already have bet on? Belfast.
Okay.
Belfast on the win total, whatever number they put up, I'm taking the over.
Okay, I didn't see much of them last year.
So they were really bad last year, which is why you would get a very good number right now. But I mean, as we all know, did not go well against Oceanside.
Yes. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. New coach.
All right.
Their coach is the father of Trevin Ripley, who was the big for Oceanside, that freshman who played really well in the gold ball game. So he's transferred over, and I think brought one of his AAU teammates with him. So if you want a surprise team out of, I guess they're being C North now.
Are they related to the wrestlers, Maddie Ripley and them?
Oh, probably.
Okay.
It's Rockland.
Yeah.
So probably. It's very likely. You get these towns and there's just 7 people with the same last name. You're like, they've got to be related.
Something good. Yeah.
Somebody's a cousin.
I don't want to ask, but there's
a second cousin. There's so many of them. You're just like, how many more do you got coming?
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of common names in Maine.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. It's we'll say that's all we'll say about that. It's hopefully not inbreeding, but
I was not insinuating that at all. No.
I think it's just cousins. Like in Waldeboro, there's 800 Moody's because
big families. Yeah,
it's just big family.
Yeah.
And they're just
generation stuck around.
They go to college. They get themselves a wife. They bring the wife back,
Yeah.
and the
Everybody
family
finds
grows
their way
more.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody in C?
Anybody
C or
in
D?
C that stands out to me? Mary Allen in Central on the girls' side. She was a really fun player to watch last year, and when she had the ball in her hand, she's got another year under her belt. So she's gonna be the focal point of that offense, and she's really fun. I know Bangor Christian returns Rajon Reed and Jesse.
Oh.
I'm blanking on the last name, but he was their big. That was their second best player last year, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Rajon, I thought, was huge in that state championship game, playing man-to-man defense. And they're coming off their first state title. They're bringing back Elliot Straubel as well, so they're gonna be fun.
Very cool. Very cool. So, and then
Bangor's got a new coach in AA.
Do they? I missed that.
Yes. Blanking on the name as well, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the local AAU coaches in the area.
Okay.
Or works with one of the local AAUs.
I've heard a rumbling that Caribou's going to be good this year.
Caribou's going to be very good this year. Their boys, they return a lot, and they made a push in the tournament last year as well. They impressed me. I don't know if they made it, but they impressed me. I think they played Orono.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. Is B North going to be the just nightmare?
That region again this year. Yeah, I think so. I think last year was, because you had Ellsworth, Old Town, Orono, like those three, any one of those three, I think could have come out of B North and pushed Oceanside, and possibly won that game. I think they all played really good defense, and they all had their stars on offense, and they could execute there. So that was a really fun region last year.
Yeah.
Foxcroft too. Foxcroft always has athletes.
Foxcroft does. Yeah. So this is an interesting Mr. Basketball year because they all left. This is Cooper's year. And the top 7, I think, went prep in the Mr. Basketball race.
I know Merrick went prep. Garland.
Merrick, Tegan Pelletier, Landon Clark, Ace.
Yep, well, they've been gone. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been gone. So they would have the would-be senior class.
Yeah, Tegan and Landon, 2 Ivy Leaguers.
Yeah, and Landon's a 4-star ESPN prospect now.
Yeah,
which is very cool. So, if you had to take a guess, who's the Mr. Basketball finalists?
Oh man,
I think it's pretty wide open. I think
you could look at Byther and Will Francis possibly.
Will Francis, I hadn't thought of that.
I'm trying to think from my area. Byther, Francis. Immediately, no one really comes to mind. Depending on how Brewer is, Youngs could go there too. He's a really good athlete. Just really raw. I think with a better team around him this year, you'll see better things from him on the court. But he is a tremendous. He can jump through the roof. He can shoot the ball really well. So he's gonna be fun to watch. But nobody really jumps out at me. Yeah. I know Hamden's got a couple of kids.
Hamden's, they've got a couple kids. Wolfington graduated, right?
Yeah, Wolfington and McLaughlin graduated. McLaughlin.
I think if I had to handicap it, I'd say Jameer Rose is the front runner right now out of Noble. Okay. He had a just fantastic tournament, which always helps in front of all the TV cameras.
Yeah, when you're looking back on the 4 years,
And they're going to be just as good this year, I think. I don't think they lost a lot. I think they lost 1 or 2 guys. And
I think if Oceanside's good.
Vacated.
If Oceanside's good and Foster's there too.
Foster's there. It'll be interesting to see if Zeb. I could see Zeb getting a semifinalist spot.
Yeah.
I could see that.
That's a good point. Nobody really jumps off the charts at me because last year, if you asked me who the stars were, it was Chance Mercier, it was Pierce Walston, it was those kind of guys, Zach McLaughlin. It was,
the Galleys.
Those kind of guys, the Galleys. It's going to be a fun year.
It was pretty lined up. And then the girls' side opened way the hell up when Bailey Green went to Montpelier.
Transfers from Oceanside. Yep.
So, I think someone, maybe it was Greg Levinsky, said the Pelletier girl, maybe from Oxford Hills.
Yes. Yeah, she's very good. Oxford Hills has a couple of really good players.
Yeah.
On the girls' side. So they're going to be fun. That's a really good question. Yeah,
It's pretty open because it was going to be Bailey Breen. I mean,
I'll give you a different answer like in January.
Right, and then a different one in February and a different one in March.
Someone will step up. Yeah.
All right. So, how excited are we about college basketball?
Oh, I'm counting down the days. I think a month from yesterday, Kansas hosts UNC.
Okay, cool.
On November 8th, and then Duke has a stacked non-conference schedule.
Well, they have Maine.
We're gonna be watching a lot of Cooper. Yeah, they start with Maine, but they have a really big non-conference schedule. UConn as well, I think, is going to be awesome. I sent you guys that thing about Danny Hurley, and that just fired me up for another three-peat. And I'm excited to just like scroll through TV and be like, oh, nice, like App State is hosting Marist. Let's check that one out. And like the random ones. I love those. I think Rutgers is going to be good too. Sorry.
Did you see Ken Palm released some poll he does of actual human beings that's not computer-based, and I think UConn was number one.
Again, wow. Preseason favorite. I wonder what the AP is going to have when it starts.
I mean, maybe it's just because more people are retweeting Duke stuff into my feed, but it seems like Duke's going to be really good, not just because of Cooper.
Duke's got a great team, yeah. But they have UConn based on their win-loss. Like, is this data through Monday, April 8th?
Oh, no, that's something different.
I'm looking at kenpalm.com.
I saw it in an email.
Oh, I think so. If I were to give you a way too early Final Four, it would be Kansas.
Oh, let's do that. Yes.
It would be Kansas, UConn, Duke, and Alabama.
Kansas? Wait, say that again?
Kansas, UConn, Duke, and Alabama. That would be my way too early Final Four.
Oh, I like that.
And I'm a little biased towards the UConn and the Duke. More than a little biased towards the UConn and the Duke. I think
right.
I think the Big East is going to be great this year. I think Johnny's is going to have a team. You see what Woj does with St. Bonaventure. I heard there's money pouring into that program ever since he took that. That's fun.
Interesting.
I'm excited to see what my Rams can do down at URI in the A-10. I think Chris Markwood and the Black Bears they have their first 4 or 5 games in conference are, winnable ones. So they could really have a good America East start, which would be huge for them because last year I think they played the top 3 teams in conference to open up.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And then on the women's side, Adriana Smith was just named a player to watch for the Becky Hammond Mid-Major Player of the Year award. That's huge. That's unbelievable.
My entire feed right now is people tweeting that their player is in the Becky Harmon Mid-Major watch.
How many teams do you follow?
Like none, but I follow her hoop stats.
Yeah.
And her hoop stats has been retweeting every single one of them.
Every single one of them. That's kind of funny.
And I'm just like, how many people are up for this award?
It really pains me to say it too, but Providence College is going to really have a good team this year. They have this 7-foot, I think he's from like Australia, Andrew Fonts, who can shoot the ball. He's big. Yeah, he's big, tall, white dude. He's 7-footer that can shoot. Bryce Hopkins is coming back, and Kim English is just one of the best young coaches in the game.
Wow. All right.
And that hurts me as a Rhode Island, as a URI guy.
Is it a deep thing?
It's kind of like I've just come to the grips with the fact that, these guys are, it's like it came over me in like 2019, 2018 with the Warriors. I was like, dude, these guys are just fun to watch. As much as I hated them, as much as they're like the Death Star, like it's so fun to watch them when they were clicking. And I think Providence is going to be a really fun team this year.
I kind of got there last year with Oceanside, where I would go like, when this is cooking, it's like, as long as it's not against us, this is cooking.
Yeah.
This is pretty fun.
I mean, they turned defense to offense like that. That was their, bread and butter last year.
Yeah. I had a question for you and it completely went out of my mind. How excited are we for the Celtics? This is Celtics getting disrespected all summer after winning a championship. Are they going to go nuclear scorched earth on the league? Or I saw a place had Jaylen Brown as the 47th best player in the league today.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I hope someone shows him that.
I think I think you should know. It's like the scene from Moneyball where, The Godfather, Paul Pat Riley. What am I doing tonight? Pat Riley pulls Magic aside and he's like, he tells him the votes for Rookie of the Year before the most important possession of the game. Like someone's got to like staple that to Jaylen Brown's locker.
Oh yeah. They had, I think the same place had Tatum 13th.
Yeah, that's absurd. I think it's the Celtics are going to be my savior this year because I don't think the Patriots are going to be watchable. I'm happy that Drake May's playing, but I don't.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. I was going to start
Red
with that.
Sox. Yeah, the Red Sox are done, and I'm so glad that season's over. So I just been longing for a Boston sports team to grab my attention, and I cannot wait for, what are we, 13 days away, October 22nd? Yeah.
Wow.
Can't wait for that.
Netflix documentary looks pretty good about the comeback.
Oh, the 04 Sox? Yeah, I would watch that 50 times over in one night. I'd do a marathon of that. Okay,
so I got to get your Drake May thoughts. What's your hot take on Drake May being named the starter?
I think it's about time. I think I thought when Mayo said that Jacoby was going to be the starter for the season, I thought they were going to ride him until they realized that he was hindering them. And I did not expect Brissett to be as bad as he was. But I mean, he can't do anything. Yeah. He can't run. He can't throw. So you're putting up 12.4 points a game, and your offense the last 3 weeks has scored 3 against the Jets, 26 points in 3 weeks total. You need to change something.
But I'll counter that parlaying Brissett under yards in the game, and the Pats game under was a pretty solid parlay.
Yeah, no, it was always you could just Pat's offense under points.
Yeah,
that was always a lock. It took the books until the books figured out. It took about 14 games to figure out Derek White. So I was betting like over 1.5 steals and blocks every night at like even money.
And they took it off the board, I think.
No, they just finally put it was like over 2.5. It was like they finally moved the line up, the starting line. And I was like, it took you guys this long. Yeah, I wasn't bankrupting them by any means, but I was making it was just hitting one of the legs in the parlay, one of the 10.
Yeah, I would do the Derek White 0.5 blocks, and I'm like, that's going to hit
almost every
games
night
out of 10.
Yeah, he's so good. I cannot wait for the
freebie.
Celtics this year. The fact that they're running it back with everybody is going to be awesome.
It's going to be so cool. You think Shireman can contribute or?
No, but I love the picture of him where it was like he went from Omaha to Dorchester. That was funny. But I just think they're too deep. I think maybe you use him in like a, however, who's the guy that left last year? The two guys that left.
Savy or
no, mid-season. I'm completely blanking on their names. So we used them, and then one of them put up like a double-double in his first start after leaving, and he didn't play a minute with us. I think you're going to use him in like one of those situations where you'll use him in the regular season. But once it comes to playoffs, he probably won't leave the bench.
Right. I think Tillman will be more important this year.
Yes, I think especially with Porzingis starting shaky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad brought these guys in, for a reason. I don't think he's bringing them in to be practice players.
No, he seems to know what he's doing. It's going pretty well.
He's the new Bill we trust is in Brad we trust.
Exactly. Yeah. I just don't understand with swinging back to the Patriots. I just don't understand why they didn't get an offensive line if you're going to have a rookie quarterback. And you just like seeing what the bad offensive lines can do to a rookie quarterback's development.
Well, the guy you brought in to play left tackle, left the team for non-football issues. The Chuk Sukorafor guy, it didn't work out. But you brought him in. You did go out and get one. It just we're poor at evaluating talent, and that's the story of the Patriots the last however many years, as they've been unable to evaluate talent, both in the draft and free agency. And you were able to mask it by the best quarterback ever and the best tight end ever, and then the best slot receiver ever. After you had the second best slot receiver ever, probably.
Right.
Welker and then Edelman. Welker redefined that position. People don't give him credit.
I loved Welker.
He was awesome. And then pictures of him at the Derby were hilarious.
Well, I loved about Welker is every time they tackled him, he would fall forward like 3 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could feel his head at that point.
No, probably not.
But he was just so fun, and he would just find that soft spot in the zone. Yeah.
Great. All right. Do you have anything else you want to cover? Because I got to let you got to go to work at some point here, right?
Yeah, I got to cut a game up, but that doesn't take me very long. But I guess it's getting colder, and that means we're going to be in the gym soon. So I'll probably be back on on here in a little bit when we get to the gyms.
Awesome. Tell people where they can find all your stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at Tyler Krusz TV, KRU. Oh, it's right there on the screen.
Right there.
And then I am the sports anchor at Channel 7. That's foxbangor.com.
And aren't you on the radio as well?
I am. Oh, the morning roast. I'll be there tomorrow on Thursday morning. I'm there 6 to 8 a.m. on 92.9 The Ticket. So, yeah.
So, wait, you're doing 6 to 8 a.m. and then
I go right back to bed after.
Evening
too.
news?
It's awesome. I show up in my PJs.
Okay.
Today I joked that I'd get beat up in a bar because I was wearing a Duke sweatshirt and Dodgers pajamas.
Wow, you would get beat up at a bar.
Exactly. That's someone like, what, are you lost, pal? Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Thanks you so much for doing this, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem.
I will see you probably at a game or during basketball season or on Twitter.
We'll see you around one way or the other.
All right. Thanks a bunch.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's the show. Thanks to Tyler for joining me. We'll read it out here. Let me pull that up. This has been a production of MaineBasketballRankings.com, your source for the most comprehensive coverage of Maine high school basketball from Ashland to York and everywhere in between. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts and a bunch of places you don't. If you enjoy this, please leave a nice review because it really does help out with the algorithms. Don't forget to subscribe to the website for all the data you need, including whether or not your team is favored to win this week. Finally, tell your friends, tell your enemies,